Hello, folks. Welcome to the Delta Report. Today is Thursday, March 29th, 2018. And here's the thing. I'm going to talk tonight about silver. You know, there's nothing as beautiful to hold in your hand is a few silver rounds. And I think that now, this is not going to be financial advice. It's just my own personal opinion. But I think that silver, within the next 5 years, is going to go up to the value, buying power. If you had, say, 5 ounces of gold in your hand, how much could you buy with that? You could probably buy a pretty nice car right now with 5 ounces of gold in your hand. You could probably buy, a pretty nice used car. I'm talking about a car that's almost new. Almost a new car. A car that's only maybe 2 or 3 years old. You could buy with 5 ounces of silver. Gold. If you had 5 ounces of gold, you could probably do a lot of things. You could take a vacation to Europe if you wanted to or something, There's a lot of things that you could do because you would be talking about 5 ounces of gold, about almost $8,000 US? 8,000 US dollars. So you could do a lot of things with 8,000 US dollars. What's going to happen, I believe, personally, in the next 5 years or so, right around 5 years, silver is going to have the same buying power as gold does now. 5 years from now. So let's think about this for a minute. If you were to go out and buy 5 ounces of silver right now, what would it cost you? Less than $100. I think that within the next 5 years, that 5 ounces of silver will have the same buying power as 5 ounces of gold does right now. And can you imagine if you were to buy 100 ounces, how much buying power you could have? Well, you could buy yourself a nice house. A nice house. If I'm right about this. Now, what I'm going to go right now is I'm going to give you the reasons why I think I am right about this. And the silver, first off, we're looking right now at a gold to silver ratio of about 80-1. It's terribly skewed. It's terribly out of whack. Now, they've went all over the earth. And they've hiked through the woods everywhere, and they've taken soil samples everywhere. And they got high-tech machines now, that can look down into the Earth's crust and look for silver. And they've hunted everywhere for the best mining resources. They've found the best mines, the best places to find silver in the ground already. It's already been found. And what they've done is they always go for the best parts first of the mine. So when they find an area that's suitable for a mine and they set up mining operations, they always go into the best vein of ore first and try to dig it out first so that they can make the most profit. Well, these mines, they just didn't start working these mines last week. These mines, they've been working them for years. And they've been digging out their best ore for years. So what's happening is a certain amount of ounces come out of a ton. A ton is, I think it's a metric ton. I think it's around, about 2,200 pounds or something like that, a metric ton. Or maybe 2,400. I used to know exactly what it was, how many pounds are in a metric ton. But it's quite heavy. It's a big chunk of earth, It's like... it's a ton of earth, metric ton of earth. And what they do is, first thing they have to do to process it is they have to dig it out, and it comes out all as stones and stuff. Rocks. It's basically mostly rock. They run it up a conveyor belt into a crusher. And the crusher is made out of steel. It's steel against steel. And the rock gets caught between the steel. And there's big diesel engines that run the crusher. and the rock crusher, and it basically pulverizes it down into smaller rocks. The smaller rocks fall down and they go up to another conveyor belt, up into another crusher that crushes it down into even smaller rocks. And they keep repeating this process until they've basically crushed it into a powder. Now, do you know how much energy it takes to basically crush rocks into powder? It takes a lot of energy. Energy's diesel fuel. Diesel fuel is what they use to give all this energy to crush it down into powder. Crush the rock into powder. And run it up conveyor belts. Then they have to mix it in mixer tanks. They mix it with water and stuff. And then they put certain chemicals and stuff in that cost money too. They get it down in the end to where it's like a sludge. Right? And the silver is like in that sludge. Then they take the sludge and they put the sludge in some sort of an oven, and the silver actually trickles out of the sludge into these bars. But the bars are not pure yet. What they're doing is they're going through process after process after process. Then they get it down to a certain percentage in these ingots of silver. They have to keep re-smelting it down to get it finer and finer until they finally get it to 999 pure silver. And then they have to turn it in, even when they get it to that point. They're still not done. They have to turn it into the final product that you buy. Costs a lot. By the time they ship it to the place and everything else, probably costs around anywhere between $12 and $14. Okay? Now that's with the ore grades that they got right now. The grades are diminishing because what's going to happen is as they dig these best ore out, they're getting less and less ounces per ton that they have to crush down, like I say, through this entire process of crushing, grinding, adding chemicals and everything else. They're getting less and less ounces per ton. In the end, they're only going to get like 5 ounces per ton. In the end. I think right now they're getting like 13. I think they were getting like 18 or something like that. I could look it up again, but that's just off the top of my head. It's getting less and less every year. But less and less ore grades. Meanwhile, their production, they're needing this silver mostly for industry. Industry uses the most silver of anything. And all of the silver the industry uses is all lost. Now, there's quite a little bit of silver accumulated for bar and coin production that people have, but you can't count that silver inventory of bar and coin production as inventory that can be used for sale. It's not up for sale. So we're talking billions of ounces of silver on the earth in silver inventories. And even more billions of ounces that people own. The people in India own a lot of silver, but all that silver, it's not for sale. And what I mean it's not for sale is, I mean, they've bought it. A lot of them have paid $30 an ounce back when silver price was a bit higher. An awful lot of people have accumulated at a higher price than silver is right now. They're not going to sell you that silver. Me, for one, I've accumulated some silver that I've paid over $30 an ounce for. I'm not going to sell you that silver right now at $16. Are you kidding me? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the silver price to shoot up. You know? Of course, I did cost average. I did get some of this silver that's $16 or whatever. But I'm like a lot of others. I'm waiting for the silver price to shoot up. And I know it's going to. It's just a matter of time. When silver takes off, and it will, the people that actually have silver are going to hang on to it, and they're going to be waiting until they hit a price point where they get greedy and they're going to start to sell back into the market again. But believe me, when silver's shooting up like a rocket, they're going to be hanging on for a long time. They're going to be HODLing the stuff, waiting until it gets up to a certain price point. What we're going to be looking at is coming in silver. I'm going to tell you right now what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at moves very similar to what we seen happen in cryptocurrency a few months back. Do you remember the big moves cryptocurrency made? we're going to be seeing those repeated in silver. You're either going to be in or you're not going to be in. But ultimately, what's going to happen is, in the end, is the silver price is going to make it up. Gold is going to go up. Gold is going to double and triple in price over the next few years. The silver price is going to go back to a ratio that's more normal. 20, 30, 40 to 1. 50 to 1 at the most. But if the silver price goes to 50 to 1 and the gold price goes up 3-4 times, we're looking at a much, much higher silver prices than we're looking at right now. Many multiples higher. Makes it a terrific bargain. Now let's take a look at the flip side of silver. What if the price falls? What if you buy it and the price continues to fall? And the price falls down below 16, into the 15s, into the 14s. Well, you know, it could. It actually could. But once it hits 14, it's going to be getting awfully close to the price point that the miners have to pay for all in production costs. You have to take that into consideration. Now, what's going to happen if it does drop down to 14? Well, I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen is these miners are not going to shut down completely. They're not going to say, hey, we're not in the business anymore, and they're going to quit and shut their doors. They're going to try to go for their top-grade ore, and they're going to shut down parts of the mine that are less productive to try to stay in business. They'll do anything that they can do to try to stay in business. And so what will happen is the mining production, the amount that they produce every year, will drop off drastically. And then what we'll get is an even sharper increase in the price of silver. So if the silver price does drop, all you got to do is wait it out. Say you're a normal fella and you can afford to buy 100 ounces right now. And say you buy the 100 ounces and say you pay a $2 premium, you'd be paying what, around $18 an ounce or something like that. Let's just say for the fun of it, $18 an ounce you pay for 100 ounces. So you pay $1,800 for your 100 ounces of silver. And let's say the price drops $4 on you. Right? So you've just basically lost what? You've just basically lost what, $400 or something? Well, here's the thing. You've only lost that $400 if you take that 100 ouncer you just bought and you sell it. Then you've incurred your losses. Okay? But say the silver price does drop down that much, and say you hang on to that 100 ouncer. What'll happen is, and you ride that out, you ride that puppy out, and you keep that silver, and then it goes back up to to the price you paid for it, and then it keeps on climbing. Now you're starting to make a profit as long as you've hung on to that silver and you didn't incur your loss. You know? Because the downside potential's not huge. I cannot possibly see, for the life of me, silver going too much below mining production cost. But you know, there's an awful lot of other things out there that have tremendous downside risk potential that silver doesn't have. Now, I'm going to tell you, there might be a very limited amount of time left that you guys can actually get in on this bandwagon. But this is not financial advice. This is just my personal opinion on it. I got mine. I got some silver. And I think that you guys should strongly really consider silver. Taking a look at it. And thinking to yourself, hey, you know what? This stuff could actually be the future. The real physical silver. Don't go for any exchange-traded fund or anything like that. Get silver that you can actually hold in your hand. Now you're probably asking one last thing is what about it getting stolen? And I'm going to tell you this is a possibility. You don't want to put your silver where people are going to stumble across it, right? Like right on the kitchen table or someplace like that. Where your maid, say you got a maid and she comes into your house and does your house or whatever, and you got a whole bunch of silver laying on the kitchen table. You don't want something like that. You got to be discreet about the stuff, Be creative and find yourself someplace to put it in your house. I wouldn't suggest putting it in a bank deposit box, and the reason why is because when the banks fold up, they'll take it on you and they're going to keep it. But you got to be a little bit creative about where you keep the stuff. I wouldn't suggest, personally, my own opinion, I would not suggest burying it in your yard. And the reason why I wouldn't suggest doing that is you're out there and you're burying it in your yard, and your neighbor's got a spyglass on you, and he sees where you bury it, and you go out 2 days later and you see a big hole in your yard where your neighbors went over and dug your stuff up. It can happen. You're laying there in bed at night, somebody's actually stealing your silver, and they're not even breaking into your house. It can happen, you know? You got to be a little bit creative about where you actually put the stuff. Now, if you're going to go out and buy 50 monster boxes, I mean, that would be just absolutely crazy. Most people I know, they've got a couple 100 ounces or whatever. You know what I mean? That's normal. But if you've got the kind of money to buy like 50 monster boxes, maybe you should think about a vaulting company. Or maybe you should consider gold instead. If you've got enough money for like that kind of amount of silver. I know some of you guys have got a lot of money. Me personally, I don't have an awful lot of money. But still, I got enough money to buy an ounce every now and again. And I'm going to, because I know what's going to happen to this market. In the end, I think personally that silver is going to become worth as much as gold is now. And by that time, gold's going to be worth 5 or 10 times more. It's going to be worth a lot more than it is now. So anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to me rattle on about silver. But I just love silver. There's just something about silver, and I love Litecoins too, because Litecoins is the digital form of silver. So I like real silver and I like Litecoin. Something about silver. Silver just hits the spot. It's so beautiful, so white, so nice, so pure. It's like white snow, So white metal, white and shiny. It feels so good in your hand. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to me rattle on tonight about this. Enjoy having you guys as my audience. I was searching through the news tonight, couldn't find a whole lot to talk about. Figured I'd talk to you guys a little bit about silver and how nice it is. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye.